been stalling way too much for the peak of the hour, which is to interview the wonderful John Price. So let me just flip over here real quick.
And you know who else is wonderful?
Who else is wonderful?
Our intrepid, beautiful, and this week dexterous Folkwise interview sleuths.
It's so true.
Daisy put together these questions.
Yes.
So if you like the question, John or chat, that Daisy asks,
don't
thank them.
Yeah.
Thank the sleuths.
Don't thank me. Thank the sleuths. With that, John, are you ready to be formally interviewed on Folkwise Live?
I'm getting kind of nervous.
Okay.
Please
be nervous. It'll be fun.
I need some more twisted tea. Hold on.
Okay. Yes, that's good.
Amazing, brother.
Amazing, brother.
Cool night.
Brother. Amazing, brother.
Oh my god. I'm thinking about recently, like, all the people who have preteen daughters just, like, teaching us the newest, latest, greatest Gen Z stuff. Anyway, it's mostly just loud sounds, which I guess I do anyway, so I don't know what that makes me, but... John, are you ready for your first question?
Fuck yeah, I'm ready.
Fuck yeah! Alright, John.
Yeah. Ask me anything. I dare you.
Okay. Describe to the audience the Venn diagram between folklorists and journalists and how you use skills from each in your own work.
Oh, Jesus.
You said!
Why journalists?
Because you do a lot of journalistic writing for, like, Medium and for other organizations, and I mean, this is a platform for you to talk about that if you'd like. But we were curious what you thought as, like, writing as a journalist, what the relationship might be.
Interesting. Well, I've never thought of it that way. I think
that's fun.
I think folklorists and journalists. I think effectively they're doing the exact same job, but maybe with different end goals. Whereas a folklorist is about interrogating knowledge, and a journalist is more about interrogating facts. And I don't know, I'm making this up.
No, you have a very informed opinion about this. Yeah.
Jan Hal Brunband was famously both a folklorist and a journalist.
Totally, yeah.
And,
that's why he got asked to be on TV all the time. And they said, no, don't put me on TV, put Lynn McNeil on TV.
Right. As is the answer.
Yeah.
I mean, can we take a quick aside to talk about how Lynn McNeil should just be elected, like, I don't know, I'll say queen of folklore, but, like, sovereign of folklore, like, whatever the title is, emperor
the
of
chat
folklore.
The chat likes to say monster mommy, but...
Monster mommy, that works.
Lynn McNeil.
Lynn McNeil's amazing.
Yeah.
I have a I won't say that.
She's great.
Professional admiration for
Lynn
McNeil.
She's great.
Ever since literally the first AFS I went to, when she said something, I don't even remember what the fuck she was talking about, but she said something that was like, at the time I thought was so fucking profane, and it just stuck with me for whatever that time period was. And I would always bring it up to her, and she's like, I don't remember saying that, but that sounds like me. And I'm like, yeah, it totally was. Lynn McNeil's amazing. So the Venn diagram between folklore and journalism is, it's the same skills to a different end goal, I think, is the way I would answer that. All of the skills you have as a folklorist, where you're listening to people, and you're trying to find themes and I don't know, what do folklorists do?
I think about the everyday experiences of creative
experience, right?
Yeah,
and
like creative ways that we communicate.
My friend Andrea Glass, very good and a fantastic folklorist who doesn't think of herself as a folklorist at all, even though she goes to AFS, and she is like a fantastic folklorist. Andrea Glass I would always talk about, like, what's the difference between the ethnographies that we're doing in grad school versus the journalistic writing that's going on in like the New Yorker, right? Or the New
Yeah.
York Magazine, right? Where it's like they're going into these communities and they're talking about these communities and the relationship to the larger United States and the different political facets and the economic facets and the social implications of all this stuff. And they're literally doing the exact same thing that we're doing in, ethnography classes, except that we have to get fucking IRB approval and they get paid. Like that's the difference.
Interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's the Venn diagram. The Venn diagram is literally everything. And then on one side is IRB and on the other side is money. Like,
Oh God, it's so abysmal.
yeah.
But I do think that
Yeah.
there's some interesting perspective on like wanting to, like the ways that folklorists like talk about belief and fact, that journalists don't seem to have as difficult a time reporting on. Like I don't know if
Yeah.
that's been your experience, but I feel like a lot of folklorists are very hesitant
Yeah.
to speak on behalf of people or to kind of portray certain events that are going on. Like every little piece of the way that you describe it has so much meaning, cultural meaning from your own like experience as a writer, but also like depictions of the other. And then I think journalists are like, we need the facts and we need to know what's going on now.
Yeah. And so as you alluded
Yeah.
to, I've done a lot of writing in an attempt to make myself rich and famous, and clearly it's happened.
Yes.
I'm currently a high school history teacher, so clearly the plan worked out. And but I've done a ton of writing from the time I was in grad school till I'm still doing it, and for all these different publications. And um, you're absolutely right. The academic in me wants to footnote everything. And the academic in me wants to be like, actually, you have to qualify that statement with 13 other things. And there's a whole book on this one thing that everyone should read and blah, 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 right? Whereas these other people who will, I guess we'll call them journalists, will just write it. And if it's right, it's right. If it's wrong, it's wrong. They don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Right? But they're like, hey, I went into the Bowery and this is what I saw.
Right.
And an academic would go into the Bowery and write a 500-page book with 200 of those pages being annotations.
Yeah.
So like,
Right. That's kind of true.
it's a different method of doing the exact same thing, and that's what always so frustrating. And what, like I was saying earlier, Andrew and I always talk about this. Like we're doing the exact same thing, but you're almost held back as an academic by a burden of not detail, but a burden of kind of responsibility, right? You have responsibility to just the idea of being an academic, that you're going to provide all of these other qualifications and nuances and complexities and citations and all that shit, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Whereas all these guys, they just get on TV and they pop off and say whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, well, there's like 13 books on this topic. Maybe you should read any of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I know all the legend scholars have problems with this, where and I've talked to Lynn McNeil about this personally, about how she'll go on these TV shows as consultant or as an interview, and they'll be like, well, tell us about this myth, and she'll be like, well, that's not the right use of myth, and like, we don't give a fuck.
Yeah, they don't care. Yeah.
Like, just give us 3 sentences, and we're gonna cut 2 of them, and everything's fine.
Bubbly Like Soda and GGC, like, more explicitly, said that both they loved that your response to that question, and then also that there's this huge difference in timing, that oftentimes journalists do not or cannot wait to build that kind of community connection that folklorists want to take, and also that trauma-informed approach. I like to think of it through Adrienne Murray Brown's work, which is like moving at the pace of trust. Like the trust and the connection is like a really central piece to it. But they're echoing your sentiment of like journalists are just saying it, and sometimes maybe what just needs to get said, and it takes forever because of academia, etc., to just that are constantly like editing and citing and making sure everything is great. Like, I don't know, there's kind of like a tug and pull of that duality of like, is it more important to get the information out there, get the facts out there, or be reflective about how you are describing the fact, etc. I don't know if you have something to build onto that or not.
Yeah, when I was running New Directions in Folklore, this is something I thought about a lot, and I wanted to build a forum for kind of more rapid response, kind of like, you know, oh, Slenderman is in the news. Here's a folklorist take on Slenderman in 200 or 300 words, right? Just something we could push out, because I know people in media, like, you know, just something to push out to a communications person and be like, hey, send this to your friends, you know, let's get some hits, you know. That never really went anywhere, much like many of my New Directions ideas, but that's definitely been, I think, something the field in general has needed, especially as kind of methodology arguments have kind of gone away, so now it's more about practice than it is anything. And I've always thought that was kind of a need in the field anyway, to kind of become not, I don't want to call it like journalistic light, but kind of have that rapid reaction time with people who are smart enough to know what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That makes sense. All right, I've got a next question for you. You ready?
Do it.
What is Poplore, and how does it inform our everyday experiences?
So, it's a good question. Poplore is a term I was 100% convinced I invented. Until I read a book called Poplore, written in 1994. So let that be a lesson to you folks. But Poplore is the lore of popular culture, right? And the way Eugene Bluestein talks about it, who wrote the book, and actually there's another guy who thinks he invented the term a few years ago, along with the two of us. And he uses it in more of a similar way that I do. But the way Bluestein was talking about it is more of in an ethnomusicology sense, where he's talking about, he's basically talking about music, folk music, what we call folk music, like Bob Dylan, shit like that. And he's like, well, this isn't really folk music, it's more pop culture, so let's call it poplore music, right? So that's basically what he was saying. And it's actually a really interesting book. I recommend reading it. It's not that long, but there's a really interesting section on, what the fuck's the guy's name? Herder, and the kind of, the pre-Nazification of romantic nationalism, that sort of idea.
Yeah, S. Bronner.
It gets a little tricky. A little tricky, but I'm sure S. Bronner has a lot to say about this topic.
Well,
he's got context,
he just has good context, yeah, which is just that Bluestein was responding to Dorson's fake lore argument, which is about how, industry that invents a kind of something that feels like folklore that ends up becoming immersed in a community, but Dorson was really against this idea that anything commercial could be made into folklore. It had to come from the people, very romantic nationalist kind of like view of it, which we know most folklorists today do not agree with for many, many reasons. But
and so for my dissertation, what I did is I reframed the term poplore a lot more simple terms, to be literally just, if folklore is the lore of the folk, then poplore is the lore of pop culture. And this idea that we, you know, are not Richard Dorson, who, you know, we are not living in the 50s, we are living in the 2000s, and we have had literally 120 years of mass communication, radio, you know, go back to radio, through television, now we have the internet, right? All of this mass communication has created, over time, its own, what we would call, for lack of a better term, folklore, right? So, one thing I desperately want to write about Woodstock, and I every time I go down to write about it, I can't wrap my head around it because there's so many different ways to talk about it. But Woodstock is something that none of us experienced. None of us. 1969, none of us. And yet, we know everything about it. And it has this place in our cultural consciousness that we can only describe in folkloristic terms. But it's not folklore because we all learned about it through either the movie or a documentary or fucking VH1 or whatever the source was, right? It was not oral transmission. Whatever the source was, it was not informal transmission. So how do we contextualize formal transmission of things that would normally be folklore? And that's where I brought in this idea of poplore. And so in my dissertation was all about this, and dealing with examples like someone like, and I'll be talking about this specific example at AFS this year, Joe Namath, right? In any other respect, we have all of the tools as folklorists to look at Joe Namath's life and legacy in pop culture and deal with it as a folk hero, right? Except he's not a folk hero. He's a real person who lives and, will eventually die in pop culture consciousness, right?
Yeah.
So how do we deal with that? We have all the tools. We're doing the exact same processes. It's just now pop culture as the hearth instead of, the
Right.
folk as the hearth, right? Does that make sense?
That makes total sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And so what I've been doing is I have a Substack. It is currently free. So
Drop the link in the chat. Drop the link in the chat.
Don't worry.
And all you have to do is go through there, and I've kind of made my own sort of. I've been trying to rewrite myself into how to be a folklorist. For a whole bunch of reasons, I kind of fell out with the field in a very short amount of time, and now I'm back. And kind of myself finding ways to re-engage with the field through this idea of poplore. And I have examples like, when Nolan Ryan and Ace Ventura,
Oh my god.
when Nolan Ryan and Robin Ventura got into a fight on the, that'll be funny if you read the post.
Yeah.
Got into a fight. And it's this very iconic moment in baseball, right? And it's this kind of light bulb memory for baseball fans, and it's seeped into pop culture. It's now a source of memes and all that stuff. But again, we have all the tools to analyze this event. It's just not folklore. It's coming from pop culture, right? So trying to go through and illustrate examples of that. Try to do it one every 2 weeks, but we'll see how that goes.
Hell yeah. I don't think you could have answered that question in a more perfect, all-encompassing kind of way, because our backup was to get you to tell us about your blog, which is awesome, and I'm subscribed to. Everybody should subscribe to it. Just get the emails. It's easy.
Yeah.
Come on, just get the emails.
Yeah, it's free. I should say it's free. It's a Substack. Substack has a reputation. Oh, you have to pay people, right? I'm still an academic at heart, so I like not getting paid.
Yeah.
And even though I should charge, because like Dom said, he thought he was paying me, so I think I should just go back and
double check.
I'll put him on a paid subscription. Everyone else is free. Yeah.
Awesome. Are you ready for another question?
Hell yeah, let's do it.
All right. I hope you like this one. How is shoot? I've already done the folklorist thing of predisposing you to liking this question. You don't have to like it. React to it however you want. Good. How is identity expressed in sports fandoms versus nerd fandoms like TV, books, etc.? Other kinds of
every single way.
For the people who don't see the connection between the sports and the nerds, please elaborate.
This is a great question. Because you're absolutely right. Sports people don't like nerds. Nerds don't like sports people. Okay? I don't mean nerds pejoratively. I'm just repeating the question.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
However,
we take that as a badge of honor. I think most of us do.
However, nerds and sports people are literally exactly the same. They're the same in every conceivable way. You dress up. Your favorite character. My favorite character is Deion Sanders, so I have a Deion Sanders jersey, right? Versus my favorite character is Anakin Skywalker. Now I have an Anakin Skywalker jersey, right?
I don't think they call it jerseys, but yeah.
Just the lingo. It's literally just the lingo that changes, right?
As
You have conventions, sports people have like the same thing. It's events, right? You go to a bar. That could be the same exact thing as nerds going to a bar.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. They have arcade bars, just like they have sports bars where they're showing the game. You're playing the game, showing the game. Yeah, it's true.
Let's not even gloss over the fact that quote unquote nerd culture is mainstream American culture at this point.
Yeah.
Like,
I wasn't quite sure what to say. I mean, I could have said like other fandoms, but I felt like that was too vague. So like TV, like people who get really into like pop culture, nerd culture is what it's become. Yeah. Anyway.
And it's so it's so funny to watch because I have very strong. I'm not well versed in all fandoms, right? Yeah. But I am well versed in a couple of them, and I have very strong opinions about those fandoms. And one of them is that I love the movie The Last Jedi. I love it.
Yeah.
Right? And a lot of people hate it.
A lot of people don't like Last Jedi. Yeah.
A lot of people hate The Last Jedi. It's true. And
not on this channel, honestly.
Not on this channel, but but no, it's true. But the larger
discussion.
Yeah.
Yes. This channel we are simps for The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Ryan Johnson.
Folklore especially should love The Last Jedi because Ryan Johnson, that dude fucks with myths. Like read any interview with that guy, right? You can like him as a filmmaker, you can dislike him as a filmmaker. I don't give a fuck, right? But that dude knows.
He knows about myth. Yeah.
Yeah. Like read interviews with him and like he understands. He's like, Luke Skywalker is this is the mythic cycle of Luke Skywalker.
Which was like George Lucas's entire thing that some people got, some people didn't. And
working on cars.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. George Lucas, I have a lot of mixed feelings of George. One of my mixed feelings being that he definitely back imposed the whole mythic cycle into his little shitty film.
Interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
50-50. I think he took it out and put it back in.
Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely.
It was more there when it was called Journal of the Wills.
Right.
Yeah.
And then put it back in when he got sequels.
And the whole idea, like, he loves rewriting his own history. It's like, there was always 6 movies. No, there wasn't, George.
Yeah.
No, there fucking wasn't. All right. You had one movie that you prayed didn't make you go bankrupt. All right.
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay. Yeah. It's a great movie. I love it. But.
Yeah.
What are we talking about? I don't
remember. We were talking about just how sports fans and nerd fans are the same people. Right. And I think you listed a bunch of great examples of why they're similar. And I think this, to me, this was a compelling question because I feel like that's one of the like core moments for a lot of people who are new to the subject of folklore, like seeing all of these little divisions as like actually operating under similar frameworks to a folklorist. The folklorist is like they are enacting similar like behaviors that not everybody gets a chance to really think critically about, or they're not seeing themselves in the other, I guess is what I should say.
Right. And I mean, folklore to me is all about community, right? Building community. It could be a community of 2 people, it could be a community of 2 million people, right? Mm-hmm. But folklore is all about building community. And, what's a stronger community than an NFL fan base, or like
Bills Mafia?
They literally call themselves like what was the Red Sox Nation, right? They literally call themselves a nation.
A nation,
we as academics can look at that and go, oh, this makes perfect sense, right? Instead, a lot of and I'll put this back on us too. A lot of academics don't like sports.
Yeah.
And we'll write off sports. And this is a conversation that S. Bronner and I have had numerous times about academics' aversion to sports and how, frankly, they're missing out on all of these connections.
Yeah,
now,
it's true.
That's a situation where someone like myself or S. Bronner or whoever can go in and fill those gaps, but we have to recognize that those gaps absolutely exist. Right.
Totally. Yeah. Some people say like, oh, I don't know, when they're like, you're a folklorist and they're just telling you about folklore they're seeing or whatever, and they're like, somebody should write about this thing. It's like, yeah, they should. Yeah. They should. That would be great. There's, no matter what, academia is going to have a total bent and interest
Yeah.
in ways that people think about the world, in ways that people are engaging in their own communities, and it's just always going to be tilted. But that's why it's so great to be able to talk about this, because it doesn't, I don't think it has to be that way, and I don't think, I don't know, avoiding those conversations is useful for anybody. I think more people, more folklorists, more academics need to be open-minded about applying across, like, so sitting and being critical, like, thinking about how this would apply to a sports scenario, or whatever the scenario might be, something that they're unfamiliar with, even if it's not their community necessarily.
And, you know, I almost hesitate to go this direction, but a lot of folklorists, and I don't even mean this as like a negative per se, but a lot of folklorists allow their politics to guide their research, right? And I don't mean conclusions or anything like that, but like,
I think that's a trait of many. That's a trait of many people, and also a trait of identity politics in the United States. I think that's also just part of
Absolutely. Well, where I was going with that was a lot of folklorists are in the academy system or in the college system, and they look at college sports as a bad thing, right? So therefore, they're already predisposed to disliking college sports, and all of a sudden now they're just like, well, this is just the modern day slavery or whatever, you know, whatever they want to call college sports, right? So they're automatically writing off this very, you know, useful, this huge part of American culture. That's where I was going with that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
There's some funniness happening in the chat. S. Bronner says, that's why Penn State alums meet at the bar. We tell the others we're involved in high-level theory, like the advantages of a spread offense. Which I'm Just Jack points out, that S. Bronner should have been here when I was playing the Nintendo football game, Blitz.
You'll love it.
NFL Blitz. But also, that I probably should take heed of in my future playthroughs of this game. Spread the offense.
You were playing the spread offense.
Oh God, I'm just bad anyway.
It was definitely spread offense. For S. Bonner, Daisy had the '96 Dallas Cowboys and still couldn't win a game. It was very close.
I came really close. I was close, and then Dan Marino just absolutely destroyed.
Dan Marino lit them up. Dan Marino put on like 42
close.
Points. Yeah.
Bronner, you can always go back later and watch how terribly I played this game. I got one more serious kind of question for you, and then I got a couple funsy questions. Sound good?
Let's do it.
All right. How are the Super Bowl and the Cold War connected to folklore?
Oh boy.
How much time do we have?
This is literally my dissertation, which you can read typos and all on the Penn State archives. The Super Bowl and the Cold War, right? The Cold War is not some organic thing. It is very much controlled, especially in social terms, as a way of creating American identity in opposition to Soviet identity, right? It's an identity war, as much as it is a military conflict, right? Maybe even more so than a military conflict, right? Part of that is the creation and expansion of football as America's #1 sport. For over 100 years, well, let's say 100 years, baseball was America's sport.
Right.
There's a very famous George Carlin clip that everyone should go watch.
I'll find it and put in chat.
Yeah, you should find that, yeah.
Comparing the terminology of baseball and football. It's amazing. I tried to reproduce it once in class. It didn't go over well, so I'm never going to try ever again. But everyone should watch that. And it's all, baseball is all these agrarian terms, and we're going out, we're having a game of catch, right? Versus football is, the general marches down the field for a touchdown, so very militaristic terms.
Yeah.
Ellen Dundies has his infamous paper, Into the End Zone.
Well, it's
famous and cool.
famous and cool for folklorists.
For the
Into the End Zone. Yeah.
Gotta love Into the End Zone, right? I've actually shared that with a lot of non-folklorists and be like, yeah, it's new.
Yeah.
John, can I say I assigned that in a summer class. I had a bunch of IU football players, and IU's running back said, I mean, it hurt to read only because I started agreeing with it.
Right?
That's so good.
Right? I played football in high school. Like, I agree with the whole damn thing. I'm like,
yeah.
All right.
That's so good.
But so the Cold War, you have this very concerted effort by corporate America, by formal institutional America, to create an American identity in contrast to a Soviet identity. And what is that American identity? It's tough, it's individual, it's capitalistic, it's hedonistic, right? And football is what would become the NFL of the 60s and beyond is all of those things. And they use NFL films, their in-house PR marketing machine. They use NFL films and they use people like Joe Namath to achieve those ends. They're basically creating propaganda about America. And if you don't like this thing, you're un-American. If you don't like America's team, who the fuck are you? Right? Goddamn commie.
Dolphins fan, at least.
Yeah, at
Dolphins,
least.
Like, fuck's a dolphin?
Yeah.
You know? But even in high school, right? When I'm in high school, right? I was Middletown North. Our rivals were Middletown South. We would call them commie bastards. Like,
that's
that's
so
what the coaches
wild.
called them.
That's so
That's what
wild.
the coaches called
Yeah.
them, right? Yeah, hit that commie bastard, whatever the fuck, right? So it's like it creates this decades-long idea, and I mean, we want to fast forward to a post 9/11 context where all of a sudden the military is literally paying for flyovers every single game, and we're talking like college games. I know there have been some high school games that have had military flyovers. The United States military, right? How much more fucking like how much more obvious does this need to get?
Right, right.
And you can like it, you can dislike it, but it's there.
That's so fascinating. I guess like my follow-up is just noting that this is also a feature of wrestling and Dom, even hot dog eating contests, right? Like
first hot dog eating contest I went to with a flyover, I just sat there and went like, did the military pay for that?
Yep.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
like that's fascinating, and like there are some very specific, like
then,
it's like a.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's like sports identity is national identity in a way,
Yes,
or something like that. I don't
national
know.
National identity is a team sport.
And that's
national identity is a team sport. That's it. Yeah.
And that's not a new thing either. You can go back to the Byzantine Empire.
Yeah.
And they're talking about Team Purple versus Team Green.
Mm-hmm.
This is the emperor we want, right? But I mean, even putting it back into an economic context, right? You have a lot of underprivileged kids. Their only choice, their only route to go to college is to be good at sports.
Or the military.
Right?
Yeah.
Or the military, right?
Yeah.
And then once they're good at sports, it's almost a kind of cultural expectation that they're going to pay it back, right? Now you have an entourage of 100 kids. Like I see it all the time with athletes. And I mean, I've coached little kids, Penn State, high school. Like the better players have entourages. Like that's just how it is, right? So now it's your job to take care of those because you're the one with the money. It's the economic expectation as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do I
Bronner,
try to make a follow-up real quick too, Daisy?
Yeah, and if you want to address... Well, yeah, I was going to say Bronner and Death Loris make interesting points too. Bronner says, good answer. Vietnam bombings were also called Operation Quarterback.
Yep.
And that...
Linebacker.
Yep. And that piece came out, especially after the Copernic controversy as insulting to military, quote in air quotes, and Death Loris just notes that they hadn't really thought about the military connection at all before that, but it's so there when you sit, you're thinking critically about it. Yeah, it's like right there.
I was hoping you would not say that, as Bronner says, this is better than your dissertation.
No, as Bronner said good answer. So good answer. I think that's good. It's probably good. Dom, yeah, go off.
Oh, I guess all I wanted to say was just noting how, like, at some point, like, the narrative of the Cold War changes, from being like godless hippies to squares that won't let you listen to rock
Yeah,
music.
what is that?
And I feel like in the middle of that, Steve Sable starts NFL Films. You know what I mean? And I'm thinking about this because I just listened to season 3 of Blowback a couple weeks ago, which is about the Korean War, and like listening to like the vintage propaganda about the Korean War. It was just like North Korea, like atheists who won't let you believe in God, and then like by like the 80s, like Rocky 4 is like the Soviet Union, like squares that won't let you work out in the woods.
Yeah.
Well, and Ivan Drago, right? He's unnatural, right? He's getting injections.
Right.
Like,
He's
not training in the woods.
he's like
he's training with machines.
Which
right?
is also
How fucking un-American is it to train with machines?
But that's what all
Rocky pulling big logs off his.
Yeah, and meanwhile it was.
But that's what they all do now. That's what's so interesting. Now that's what everyone does.
Kim Il Sung, the feral woodsman who doesn't believe in gods, is trying to conquer South Korea.
Yeah. It's so fascinating. Yeah. John, I got some funsy questions for you. Are you ready for some fun rapid fire questions and then a game?
I'm always ready.
Whoa! Wait a second, S. Broder.
S. Broder wants you to connect this to Pat Tillman. I know you can do it.
Oh boy. Can I?
That was for folk narrative constructed. says S. Broder.
Pat Tillman's interesting.
Yeah, how was that?
Everything related to modern conservatism is interesting. Because Pat Tillman is this hero, right? He's a hero because he gave up his NFL dream, millions of dollars. He becomes a ranger, right? And then he gets killed by friendly fire in Afghanistan, a war nobody likes, right? But a war that was deemed by the political consensus as necessary, right? So we have this really weird contradiction where now he is a national icon in the view of I'll say conservatives, right? But why? Why is he a national hero?
Freaking!
Right? He didn't do anything heroic per se. What he did was got killed by friendly fire, right? Now we can say that his actions were heroic or whatever. That's fine. My point simply being that it's not like he went in there in a loincloth and killed Osama bin Laden right to his head, right? No, all he did was get killed by friendly fire, which is a very unheroic act by both sides. Am I off on a tangent here? I don't know.
I think you are both on a good tangent and just most of the shows I watched on Twitch anyway. But, Daisy, describe to John what happened.
You were, in fact, fighting against my potentially bad internet, which Bronner points out is that the military began to listen to your answer and cut off the stream. So there's a surveillance that's happening. There's a conspiracy happening here.
Jeff Bezos owns Twitch.
Yeah, we're all reminded Jeff Bezos owns Twitch. We should be back.
We're a little gray, but we should be back.
We're a little gray, but we should be back. I don't know if you want to summarize your tangent or if we can just move on. What do we think?
I don't want to besmirch hero Pat Tillman anymore.
We got what we got. All right.
We got what we got.
Hey, don't worry. In post, I think it will be fine because my computer's recording this independently of Twitch, so I think it should be good.
Fantastic.
All right. I got a couple funsy questions for you. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Why is Flemish bond brickwork the best kind of brickwork?
What?
This is something that you wrote on your PSU John Price explanation of the self. You have academic interests, blah blah blah. I also have a somewhat unhealthy infatuation with Flemish bond brickwork. Is a quote from this website.
I understand what it is. Okay. All right.
What? Oh my god.
Have you ever seen Flemish bond brickwork?
No one talked about what just happened. I knocked my sign over. Continue. This is so chaotic. I'm sorry, everybody.
Going well.
This is going. Whenever I host, this is like. minimum of the expectation.
I just remember that one time Thanksgiving you tried to host and called it a chill normal stream, and like,
I like rage quit the game.
you yelled for 2 hours.
I should be allowed to host. Okay, anyway, Flemish Bond brickwork. Tell us about it. Why is it the best brickwork? What's the argument?
So, I mean, does anyone know what
Tell
Flemish
me.
Bond looks like?
They might need to see.
Where's I need paper? Hold on. Okay.
Daisy, you can probably pull it
I can probably pull it up.
up too. Right?
Mhm.
So common bond, right, is like normal treasures, right? Common bond. That's common bond,
Yeah.
right? Okay. Flemish bond, however, is incredible. Okay. 2, 3. Hold on, I'm drawing people.
Draw that shit, Sean.
Give me drawing it, baby.
Okay, I can
Flemish
send.
bond looks like a whole bunch of division signs.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes, it does.
Ooh.
Right? You see the division sign, right? And it's literally just that. Over and over and over and over and over and over. It's amazing. It's the best type of brickwork. Hands down. I mean, that's it. That's the answer. It's the best type. I mean, look through all the different types. There's stretcher, there's headers, there's common bond, there's military bond. I mean, there's all sorts of different bonds. No, that right there is perfect.
The stream dead. Daisy?
It said it reconnected, and I'm upset because it seems like it hasn't.
I think Daisy's internet is out. I
God
fuck
damn.
with Flemish Bond now.
With Flemish bond, great.
This is so upsetting. Because it says I'm good. I don't get what the problem is. Ugh. It does say I have I have 0 KBS. So that's cool. Very good, I guess. Oh, I baked like bricks before the stream apparently. Says GGC. Oh my god.
We can hear you again.
can-
We
oh
didn't
my
hear
God.
you for like a smooth 5
Oh
minutes,
really?
Daisy.
Oh really? Oh my god. Okay. Not good. I am hopeful that this is returned. It says returned.
Allstone?
Daisy,
Daisy-
blink twice if you can hear.
Daisy,
Blink,
give us
blink,
your,
blink.
Give us your coordinates and Morse code if you did your own research, brother.
Blink, 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 blink. Hi. Maybe? Y'all here with me? I think we're back. I have risen.
I can hear you now.
Alright. I'm so sorry about this. It's too silly, honestly. I don't really understand what's going on. Sorry about that. Hey, continue? Question mark. Okay, you were telling us about how Flemish bond brickwork looks like little, division signs.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, thanks, y'all.
Yep,
Maybe
that's the answer.
I can get better internet with more subs. We'll try. Yeah, it looks like little division signs. It's like they actually put time into it. You know? They
Yeah.
tried
No,
to
Flemish
care.
bond is the best. It's the best.
They tried to care about it
Yeah.
so much. Okay.
Whenever you're driving through like the Northeast,
Mm-hmm.
look at all the different bonds, all the different brickwork, and there's a wide variety. And I've seen a lot of different variety, and Flemish bond is the best.
Yes, I totally agree. All right, I've got another
The CIA is also listening to us talk about Flemish
something.
Bond.
Yeah, I'm like,
I have said one too many
One too many-
inappropriate things.
That takes- I think we're back.
We
thank you
might
for
have-
subs and bits while we were gone.
Yeah, thank you. This is so strange because everything on my end seems to be fine. It's just all of a sudden. It's not like I am also losing internet in other ways. It's just deciding to
Right.
kaput. Anyway, thank you for bearing with me as I address
Have a
this
word with
one.
Chad.
I need to have a word with Chad. I need to have a word with my my Ethernet cable. Okay, John. Another funcy question for you.
Yes.
What is
Yes.
the luckiest hat you own? And can you show us? If you don't have a lucky hat, what your favorite hat is also acceptable.
So I have a lot of hats. Boy. This is a sore subject.
Oh,
Okay. Because let's say I have a top 5 of hats. My dog Gus has destroyed all of them.
your dog has destroyed all of them?
And so I've had to get replacements. So I'm currently working on a new top 5. It hasn't been cemented yet. I really like, I'll tell you, I love hats. Yep. He loves tearing the bruise off of them. He loves tearing the connectors off of them. He loves destroying hats. He loves eating them. It's great. He's great. But I love navy hats. I love like a navy hat with like a ship. And like I don't wear them.
Again, John. I think we're both good.
So
Why was this not happening during NFL Blitz as much?
this one getting going.
It keeps. I'm so sorry. Why does I feel?
Maybe your
I feel
computer's too hot.
well, it's
Wait, we're back. Are we back?
my fans in my room. I'm so yeah. Now
We're back, we're back,
it's
we're back.
back full force. Okay, go. Speak quickly. This is a sore subject because your hats have been destroyed by a dog.
Your dog is
Yes.
in the CIA.
Yes, my dog has destroyed all of my favorite hats. So I'm working on replacing my favorite hats at the moment.
Oh my
That's-
gosh!
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Although I'm really liking this Titleist hat right here. It's a very solid golf hat. It's white, as we can see. Titleist Pro V1s, which I like to play. Pro V1s. FootJoy, not FootJoy, but co-sponsors, right?
Yeah,
I really
yeah,
like
yeah.
this Titleist hat. My favorite hat of all time might be a Titleist hat, and it's a Titleist hat that was red, white, and blue in the Titleist in the lettering. It was a great hat, and it was red, white, and blue in the lettering.
Wow, that's awesome.
Very, very diplomatic answer to get the NSA detail.
Yes, yes. Stop coming after us, CIA.
Speaking of dogs who like to destroy things, we would love to see Gus, that little astro pup that has its own Instagram.
With any luck, he's sleeping.
Well, what
Oh,
if
boy.
he's asleep and you don't want him to wake up? What is it like to become a foster dog parent overnight during a pandemic?
It's interesting. It's interesting. I should preface this with I'm not a dog person. Not that I dislike dogs, but I had a dog when I was little. I was like a little kid, and then I didn't have the dog the rest of my life. So my then girlfriend, now wife, decided to foster. Very very benevolent of her. She fostered a pregnant dog. And they told us it was going to have 2 to 3 puppies, and we're like, okay, that makes sense. It's an abandoned dog. It's emaciated. That makes sense. 2 to 3 puppies, right? Well, Gus was number 4, and by the end of the day, there were 11.
Oh
11
my!
puppies.
That's so many puppies. No matter how big the dog is.
So many puppies, and they're huge puppies. Huge dog, huge puppies. Boxer, Rottweiler, Pit Bull, Pyrenees, like every big dog you can think of is in this gene pool. And so having to deal with 11 puppies shitting all over the place and pissing everywhere, they're adorable at the time, but it was definitely a shock to the system. And then we took Gus home. Gus was ours. He was the runt of the litter. He's adorable. You can go to Astro Gus on Instagram and check out all the adorable pictures of him. And I should say it's Astro Gus because they were born on 4/3/21. So my beautiful wife, who I love, came up with the idea that they're all named after astronauts. So we named them all after astronauts.
That's so cute.
Are we? Yeah.
Yeah, they're
So
all
it's
they're all
fun.
named after
Good time.
astronauts. That's so cute.
Yeah. But Gus now is 98 pounds.
Oh,
And
God.
he's
That's a
huge,
beefy
and
boy.
He's what, 15 months old, something like that. I don't know, I can't do math. 15, 16 months old, and he still thinks he's in puppy mode. So he's got big paws that just kind of whack you in the face. As you can see, they just whack you in the face, and he doesn't give a shit because he's in play mode. So
Oh my gosh.
yeah,
Wild.
yeah, it's good.
That's so
times.
cute.
Good
That
times.
is a big dog. I have one more funsy question for
Yeah,
you, and then
it
I
is a
have
big
and
boy.
then I have a game for us.
Yes, let's do
Okay.
it.
What is your favorite piece of Vulcan folklore?
Okay.
Did I just disappear?
Of Vulcan folklore.
Of Vulcan folklore. What is your favorite piece of Vulcan folklore?
Interesting. That's an interesting question. Vulcan folklore. Interesting question. Well, surprisingly, the Vulcan society is very well developed. Not just in the series, but in books and movies and everything. However, I would have to say one of my favorite one of my favorite Mr. Spock lines of all time is, "There's an old Vulcan saying, only Nixon can go to China." Right? I just love that. I love when Star Trek does that. But I think that's an interesting question. I think one that pops out in my mind, these are all going to be sayings. One that pops out in my mind is, nothing unreal exists. It's a quote by the Vulcan philosopher T. Thoth.
That's interesting. Yeah,
So that's a good one.
that
Yeah.
is a good
But
one.
Vulcan
Yeah.
has all these like rituals and everything. Like the famous episode with Spock and Kirk fighting each other. That's all Vulcan rituals. It's an interesting culture. It's also very Jewish, very heavily based on Judaism.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Because
Yeah.
Leonard
I didn't
Nimoy
know that.
was in fact Jewish, so he had a lot of influence over that.
I didn't know that. That's
Daisy,
interesting.
while you get the game up, do you want me to ask this chat question?
That would be awesome.
Also, can I tell you my favorite Klingon proverb that I remember to this day, John?
Please do.
4,000 throats can be cut in one night by a running man.
Such a good one.
I think that's work harder, not smarter, right?
Kalis the Great.
Hey, I'm just Jackass. What do we know about the myths and legends of football? Is it old enough to have myths? How does the presence of journalism affect the propagation or generation of these myths?
Does football have myths? Yeah, you should check out my dissertation. It's all about that. So yeah, and this idea. So the idea is, right, again, going back to this Poplore idea, where we're not dealing with folklore as a professional academic folklore. So think of it coming from oral traditions, coming from time immemorial, whatever. It's very, it's corporate, it's formalized, but you have NFL Films creating this sort of pantheon of heroes or villains, heroes and villains all at the same time through their conduit NFL Films. They're creating the atmosphere, they're creating the story behind each team, each season, each play, right? They're giving it dramatic, bombastic music. So we have this again a kind of orthodox folklorist in the same terms, but if we take away we apply the conceit that this is coming from pop culture, yeah, well, absolutely has minutes. I mean, pretty easy example would be something like the Immaculate Reception, right?
Division, yeah.
So, I mean, but you mythologize them in real time, and NFL Films is the one you can't watch every single game. So NFL Films, especially pre, NFL Red Zone and everything, they're the ones who are telling you what's important. They're the ones who are telling you what happened. They're the ones who are telling you, hey, this is a play that you should remember. This is a player that you should idolize or demonize, right? So it's all very formalized, but it's the same processes that we'll find in any other sort of really belief system, really.
Yeah. John, can I answer that that question too from Jack with an anecdote?
Mm-hmm.
I first heard about this in the Sports Illustrated. I think it was the Sports Illustrated Football Bible, and it's a traditionalized narrative, I guess, where Vince Lombardi's wife turns to him and says, "It's like a winter's night," and she goes, "God, it's cold in Wisconsin," and he goes, "It's a Wednesday. You can call me Vince." That is my myth of football answer.
Oh my gosh.
That's a good one.
That's a pretty good one. John, that's the end of our funsy questions for you there.
Cool.
We have a game to play with you, and
yeah,
we think this might not be what you imagined that the kind of game that we'd be playing together is. But if you haven't clicked watch stream already, go ahead and click it.
I'm watching.
Have you ever made a tier list before?
I have not made a tier list, but I really like making top 5 lists.
You do love a top 5.
You do love a top 5, yeah.
I do love a top 5. No, I've never made a tier list, but I know what a tier list is.
Okay, great.
Top 5s are like a top 4 and a
so
joke.
So the sleuths, when we were looking through tier lists and thinking about what we might ask you to rank, we did find this pre-made Star Trek Applause Mugs tier list maker, and we thought, well, what better way to mix pop culture than having you... We don't want you to rank the show. Everyone's done that. Everybody's had you rank the movies for Star Trek. Everybody has you kind of rank the characters, blah, blah, blah. What about the pop culture fixations, the things that are produced from the show that some may be haunting, some may be very good. As a collector's item, we would like you to rank these rapid fire. It's a little bit more than we usually do. The Star Trek Applause Mugs tier list from S to D. S being
Daisy, John, you hearing them?
Did you hear that, John?
Cutting in and out,
Days.
Why was it working when I sucked so bad at NFL Blitz, and now for some reason every other minute it seems to just it's fine. That's like 2,000.
Vince Lombardi and
it's
the other football gods.
It goes from 25,000 to 0 in 30 seconds. I don't know what that's about. Anyway, what did you miss of this? Star Trek Applause Mugs, ultimate blend of pop culture, folklore, kind of collector's item. We thought you might be the best to rank from, I don't know, on whatever scale of S to D, if that means wonderful to horrifying, if that means whatever you'd like to determine S to D to mean. S is usually the best, superior, number one, super, whatever. D is trash it, the worst, goodbye. The Star Trek Applause Mugs. Rapid fire. First up, we got the Borg.
Oh boy. All right. The Borg are awesome in TNG, and then they're a completely different species in Voyager, and Voyager kind of neuters them a little bit. By the time you get to, I'm sure Alex Kurtzman's gonna fuck it up later. I would put, I believe that is Hugh the Borg. I'll put him at a B.
Okay.
Put him at a B.
B's good. B's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
How about Cardassian?
So, if I'm not mistaken, that's going to be Gul Dukat. And Gul Dukat starts as a really boring kind of villain of the week type guy, and ends up being one of the most nuanced characters in DS9, which
In Star
DS9 is full of nuanced characters, and he's one of them. I'll give Gold Dukat an A.
All right. How about Dr. Crusher?
Good old Bev. I have a lot of mixed feelings towards Dr. Crusher.
Remember that it is both the symbol of the person
Oh, I
and
understand.
also the mug.
I understand. Mugs are important, though. All right.
Mugs
Now,
are.
I mean, Dr. Crusher. I mean, she's not a very good doctor. Right? So
Fair enough.
also, she's like, will she, won't we with Picard? It's a whole thing. I'll give her. Be generous. I'll give her a C.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
This one's so good. Up next, we got Data.
So we got Data, right? That doesn't look like Data at all. That's it.
This is a terrible depiction of Data. I think it's a very.
That's like B4 or something. I don't like that. I don't like that one.
What about Deanna Troi?
Yeah, again, this is terrible sculpting for Commander Troy. I'm gonna go D on that guy.
Above or below Data?
Below Data.
Okay.
Below Data. Yeah.
How about Gorn?
That's actually a pretty good Gorn right there. I'm gonna go A. I'm gonna go A for the Gorn.
We got above or below, top A or bottom A?
I'll go above Gold Dukat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Any particular reason?
Well, before Strange New Worlds destroyed the entire culture of the Gorn, they were a really good adversary for my beloved Captain Kirk.
Fair enough.
Spoiler alert.
How about... Okay, again, if it's not obvious, I don't know any of these characters because I've never seen Star Trek. So I'm sorry if I mispronounce anybody's names. Jadzia Dax.
Yeah, Jadzia Dax is great. Fantastic character. Terry Farrell is a fantastic lady. Actually married to Adam Nimoy, the son of Leonard Nimoy. That, however, is a terrible depiction. You get to see.
Okay, above or below here?
Below.
It's pretty.
Below.
It's
that's
it's
that
really,
5 head is unexcusable.
It's really a lot. Yeah, it's really a huge forehead. What about
She's a beautiful lady in real life?
Yeah, not in mug form apparently.
No.
How about Janeway?
I love Captain Janeway so much. Probably my second favorite Star Trek character at the time. But that is just I'll be generous. I'll give her a B. Below Hugh.
Below. Okay.
Below Hugh. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. How about Kazan?
This Kazan is
Kazan.
Just terrible. Just D. And D.
D. All right.
D all the way.
All right. Super bottom.
Yeah. Kazans are definitely super bottom.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. How about Kirk?
NSFW.
It's actually a pretty good sculpture. It doesn't look like Shatner, but that's actually a pretty good sculpture of Captain Kirk. Let's go S. Let's go S.
That looks
okay,
just like
that's
the
pretty
animated
good, honestly.
It looks
It
just
does.
like that.
It does look very animated series. Yeah.
How about, is it Geordie LaForge?
Yep.
Geordie.
Commander,
oh my God.
LaForge.
I want you to know that, John, at DragonCon over the weekend, one of the dancers on the stage on the Thursday night party was Playboy Bunny Geordie LaForge. And
oh
she
my
was
God.
twerking.
Oh my God.
Playboy Bunny Geordie gets an S.
Hell yeah.
Geordie gets a C.
Oh. This one gets C, top or bottom or middle.
Let's go in, but let's split the difference.
Split the difference? All right.
Between
This one is a very good one. How about McCoy?
Yeah, Dr. Leonard McCoy, ship surgeon.
The eyebrows are strong.
They're
strong.
Those are some eyebrows. Let's go. I'm letting my personal feelings attach to me. We got, let's go bottom of the B's.
All right, bottom of B.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Up next, we got Quark. Excuse me, I'm sorry, not Quark. Sorry. Neelix.
Neelix. Neelix, yes, Voyager's little hobbit character.
It's-
Neelix sucks, so does that mug. Dude. However, I will say, as a folklorist, I love Neelix because he's always talking about Talaxian folklore. And he even has, and this is something I actually want to make, he even has a little book of Talaxian folklore, and I want to make it.
Really? That's freaking
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Cosplay.
Yeah,
But
cosplay.
But that mug can put on.
Where are you putting it?
Let's go above D. Let's put him at the top of the D's.
Top of D? Okay. How about... Oh my god, that's pretty... These really are not great. I'm just looking at your D list.
Front of the D.
How about Otto?
Odo, a lot of people like Odo. I don't, but that's a perfectly fine mug. I'll give him a A. End of the A's.
End of A's. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That seems
It's a pretty
fair.
fine mug. A fine mug.
That seems fair.
Yeah.
How about...
See enough? Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I was just gonna say the next mug is Q. Right?
Yes, Q. Yeah.
Yes. Q, and they very wisely chose Q in his escape to Farpoint or encounter at Farpoint regalia, where he has the big head, right? So it
Yes.
works for the mug. This is an S.
Oh
This
my
is an S
gosh.
mug right
Oh my
here.
I
god.
think this is an ass.
Top or
Yeah.
bottom? It's pretty good.
I'd say this is number 1 right now.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
It's pretty good in terms of like mug functionality
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
character reference.
Like a true folklorist who studies myth. You went right for God at S tier.
Yeah.
The alpha.
Yep.
Yes. All right. Now we have Quark.
Quark, this is a pretty good mug. I'm not gonna lie. Your feelings on Quark, aside, again, another nuanced character from DS9. Had an argument with someone online one time where they were like, "Well, Quark's a pimp. So I don't like him." I'm like, "Yeah, he's an awful person. That doesn't mean he's not a good character."
That's
Yeah,
right.
That's
true.
a fantastic
So true.
mug. I'm gonna put that right below Q, in between.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Let's
Q
go.
Q and Kirk.
Let's go. That's great.
Yeah.
Riker.
Right there.
Is-
What's going on with those eyes?
He's been a little. I would say the face is a
Riker
little.
looks like he has the Innsmouth look, and he's slowly turning into a fish.
He's a little bit pulled to the sides there.
Right. I'll be generous and go C, but that's not a good mug.
Top. Like what spot on C?
Before Dax. Let's go
like Cole-
between Geordi and Dax.
Cold
All right.
open on what was his show? Unsolved Mysteries.
Is that here? Oh, sorry. Excuse me.
No,
no,
Where was it? There we go.
Down.
Yeah. Got you.
Next row.
C. C row.
I put him there.
There we
Did
go.
it load? Oh god, it took a second to load. Oh no.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no.
Are you back?
Hopefully. Cause up next we got Benjamin Sisko.
Nope. Give it a second.
This is so frustrating.
All right, go for it, Daisy.
Up next we got Benjamin Sisko.
Sisko, fantastic character. One of the best characters in all of Star Trek history. However, that mug is making my American Studies alarms go off. And,
Yeah,
I
honestly.
feel very uncomfortable as a white man judging this mug.
Fair enough.
So let's put it A. It's actually a really good mug. Yeah.
It looks pretty decent.
Let's put it
There we go.
right after Gorn. That Gorn mug is really good. Yeah. There
Hell
we go.
yeah. And of course the one many people have been waiting for, Spock.
Why have people been waiting for Spock?
Because I feel like he's so famous. He's the
Oh,
guy.
yeah.
Spock Kirk. That's the guy. That's the
Fun
the
fact,
guy.
I really dislike Spock as a character, but I understand I'm in the extreme minority there. It's an okay mug. It's okay. Let's go B.
B.
Let's go B right below Hugh in front of Janeway.
Wow. It is
So-
kind of.
In front of
Oh,
Janeway.
excuse me,
No,
excuse me.
To the left, but there you go.
There we
Yeah,
go.
A little to the left.
Little to the
To the
left.
left.
All right, John. You know what you have to do in this last one.
You
Bring
know-
this home. You,
You know
see
what
what's
you have
about
to
to
do.
happen.
Worf. You know what you have to do.
Okay.
You You know what you have to do.
What? What's gonna happen? Oh, okay. Actually, it works out perfectly because
Yeah,
this is a really good
I
mug.
love this distribution.
This is
Yeah!
a really good mug. And as much
It really
as like,
is.
I have my issues with the character of Worf as like a character, but that's a really good mug. It's even got
Honestly
this little sash there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's S tier.
Oh
That's
my
S tier.
god!
We'll say bottom of the S tier, but that's definitely S right there.
Still, look at that.
Look
perfect
at-
block.
look at
That's
that.
the
Look
first
at this!
Perfect block in the history of the show.
We've never had a block like this ever in the history of the show. And part of that's because we usually try to have an odd number, so that way there's at least, like, one. But this was just too powerful to pass up. Wow, look at this terrible mug that you could drink coffee from. Don't want to do that. But look at this god-level mug that you would want to drink coffee from.
God level.
Oh my god. Dom, how can we summarize this?
I feel like you just did it perfectly.
God to absolute garbage. Which mug would you like to drink out of? Kazon to Q, which has the best tasting coffee? It's definitely not Kazon. So I don't know. Here we go. People in the chat, you know what to do. Give John ladders if you have them, a hearty GGs if you don't. John, thank you so much for being a guest on our show and putting up with the internet struggles I've been having. I think in post it will be fine. I'm the one editing the interviews.
Oh, it'll be fine in post.
Yeah, it'll be fine here. Sorry.
Do some work on the back end.
Yeah, sorry for audience. I'm gonna try to fix that this week, so that way that doesn't happen again anytime I host. We'll see. Part of it's the move. Blah blah blah. You know how it goes. Yeah, I learned a ton about not just sports and journalism, but writing and the ways that we think about fandom and some other underrepresented areas of folklore. So, thank you, John, for being on the show.
Thank you.
Have a special emotional. Quotes have had meaning on many levels. Making quotes helped me to get a sense of my own space, sense of finding my way, sense of really working my way out of the labyrinth.